Welcome to another episode of Inside the Empire podcast. I'm here with my boy Jason White with Great Life Senior Care. How's it going, Jason?
Kyle, man, everything's going good. Thank you so much for having me today. You know, I've caught a couple of your podcasts, and so when I called you, you were just as gracious as ever, man. You didn't, you just said, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, I've been waiting for you to reach out, bro.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I'm stoked you're here, man. Thanks for coming in. Looking forward to hearing your story and sharing your story with the people. You got a pretty great testimony, so
Thank you very much.
wanna walk through it. So I guess we'll start with your beginning. Tell me a little bit about where you're from. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing, your childhood, and what was life like?
Okay, yeah. Well, first off,
White House.
In the White House. That's right, man. We definitely, the white residence is kind of how the proper way to answer, but often I like to blow it up and say, hey, White House, as a kid. But no, I'm a California native. First off, I always call California the land of fruits and nuts, and I fit right in. I do love California. I was born in Westlake Village. But, I don't consider Southern California my hometown. I grew up in a little community called Oakhurst, and that's on your way to Yosemite. And, man, tight. When I moved there, I think they had one stop sign, and it's just crazy now. It's huge, stoplights everywhere. But
Sounds like my town in Dayton, Nevada. Yeah, we had one stoplight. That was it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I go back there, and I love to go back and visit that town. I always, at some point growing up there, I was like, man, one day I'll be mayor of that town. Like I got some ownership there, but that's where I grew up, and it was perfect because I love the outdoors. I love to hike. I loved being close to Yosemite, and there was a lake close, so I got to do all the climbing, hiking, water sports and fishing, and I'm not a fisherman at all. But also, dude, we had 12.
We're fishermen. We're all fisher.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's true. But we also had horses, man. So I didn't have like a full-on farm, like you.
Yeah.
But we had 2 horses, and I had a great time. On our property, we had to ride everywhere, quads, horses. It was kind of cool growing up on a mountainside.
That's the lifestyle right there, though.
It was a good time.
Kids don't know what they don't got out here. They got all this technology stuff. That's nothing compared to some horses, some ATVs, bikes. Yeah, the outdoors where it's at.
Yeah,
that's great. So, grew up in there, and tell me a little bit about your schooling.
Yeah.
Your upbringing.
Absolutely. So, after high school, man, in Oakhurst, I left, and I kind of, split with the girlfriend kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I moved to Tucson, and that's where I met my wife. My wife and I met at church.
A great place to meet, by the way. Like, if you're looking for a spouse, church is a great place to find them.
Definitely. Yeah. So I was in this college and career group, and, I've really wanted to be 2 things in my life. I wanted to be a pastor, and I wanted to be a sheriff at 2 different times, but those are sort of the things I really wanted to do. When I was a kid in high school and younger, my uncle was in the Air Force, and every year he'd send me a new poster of the new coolest air, jet, right? And I'd put them all over my wall. But I ended up not going Air Force, right? I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, I was leading worship in this college group, and my this friend of mine said, hey, man, Linda, you should join the group, and so she came in, and that's how her and I, my wife's a teacher, by the way, but her name's Linda.
Awesome.
And,
thank you, Linda, for what you do. Please don't leave the schools. We need you.
Yeah. She's a total professional, and it's just awesome to watch her work, and go into her classroom. It's a lot of fun. She teaches kindergarten.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. It's passion. That's all passion right there. That's a passion job.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, she's got it like clockwork now, but she just invests a lot of time and heart into those kids.
Yeah.
I remember, one of her earlier classes when we first, we've been married for 22 years now, almost. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 2001 years old, bro.
But yeah, we got a 17-year-old, two teenage boys, 17 and 15. Carson and Tyler.
Yeah.
And they were both born in Tucson. And so, like I said, I wanted to be in ministry, and it didn't really pan out. I was doing stuff in church. I was kind of a, behind the scenes worker, volunteer. And I knew that one day I'd get a shot, and it never really panned out kind of how I had hoped. And I went to ministry school, but it never really happened like I'd hoped. And so in this sort of, oh gosh, time's going by and it's not working out. I thought, man, I gotta figure something out. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to be a sheriff. But I found this really cool gig and where kind of my care, like what I call the care industry. This is where it began for me, and I worked for a nonprofit organization called New Life Ministries. It was faith-based, and I got to do counseling for people who were struggling. And if any of you know New Life Ministries, Steve Arterburn, he wrote Every Man's Battle, Healing is a Choice, a couple of his books. There's others out there, but really good books. And I got to travel all over working there and meeting the people that I counseled over the phone, meet them at these great workshops. But in 2008 timeframe, the recession hit there, and I got laid off, and because they wanted me to move to California, and I couldn't. My wife was a teacher, so we couldn't leave. Yeah, that wasn't gonna work.
We're rude.
So in 2008, I was in this big flux, right? I wasn't in ministry like I'd hoped, and okay, I'm gonna go sheriff, and so I really pushed into the sheriff's department. I went really far. I knew some people in the system, and I thought, okay, this is it, man. I'm going to make it, and I didn't. And I was heartbroken, man. So I thought, man, we're kind of desperate now. You're kind of like upside down on our house, and
a lot of people were,
right,
really trying to figure your life out.
So I just went down to a recruiter's office, and I didn't do Air Force. I don't know why. I just found the closest one to me, and that was the Air Force, National Guard. Army National Guard office, and I went down there. I signed up, and I joined the Army National Guard 2008.
Wow.
And I did that for about 6 months to a year, and then I went active duty. And so from 2008 to 2014, I was in the Army, and I went in as a medic, and I loved being a medic.
Medic, that's a solid choice.
Yeah. Oh, it was great, man. I thought, man, it's perfect. I care for people. And it would be a great, if ever anything were to happen, and I want to get out, it'd be a great fallback, for civilian life,
Absolutely.
to be in the healthcare.
Yeah, no, that's a great choice. You learned a lot, I'm sure.
I learned a lot of great stuff, a lot of high speed, extra pack all the time though, man, carrying the medical supplies alongside with all the other gear. I didn't like that part, but I was totally cut out for the military. The camaraderie, the training, it's fun. It was a lot of fun, but
the brotherhood that you built, I'm sure, was pretty still
strong,
huh?
Man, still strong. Great relationships, a lot of friends. In basic training, that's where you really get some solid connection because you're all just being beat up emotionally all the time.
Yeah.
And so you're all going through this stuff at the same thing, same emotional roller coaster, ups, downs, and but at the end, man, it's like this great bond between you and all the guys, in your platoon. And one dude in basic training, I broke his nose and doing pugil sticks. But him and I, man, we're still friends now. He didn't hold it against me, but he ended up having to get out of there and because of that injury. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is his nose still all messed up?
He got it fixed. I mean, the Army probably took care of it, helped him get it, worked out. But it was wild because like it was like a fire hose on his nose, dude. It would just drip out like a hose, man. It was crazy. After it broke, like days would go by and just he was torn up. I felt terrible. Wow. Yeah. But so
sorry, homie.
Yeah, Jeremy, man. Jeremy, I'm sorry. So anyway, I get to Korea. My family comes to Korea in the Army, and we had a great life. And then I ended up breaking my back.
Wow.
And I would have definitely been a lifetimer. Man, I loved the military. I would have done it forever. And I broke my back. So I healed up. I got stronger.
Wait. How'd you break your back?
Oh, dude, I don't have a great story. It's so humiliating, man. I like, okay, he's going to ask, and I need to come up with something really cool to say, right? But honestly, I don't have anything cool to say about it. In Korea, you kind of you train a lot. You kind of prep. Because technically they're just under an agreement to not be at war, but I think they really are still, technically speaking, I think they're at war still. Right. It's just an armistice, and so you have the 38th parallel, and we were doing a lot of training. It felt like every 2 weeks out of the month we were always training, and being ready to fight tonight is sort of the mantra up there, And I was just pulling off a medical crate off this big LMTV, they call it. It's a huge truck. The bed of the truck sits up eye level. And I was just grabbing this medical crate, and I kind of like jerked it up, tossed it to a friend. And when I did that, I felt my back just snap. And I fell to the ground. I couldn't feel my legs. It was like, on you see Major Pain? I can't feel my legs. That was me, man,
That was the story of you, huh? They took that piece from
right, yeah. Exactly. So I healed up pretty good the first time, and so well that I was in the best shape I'd ever been in. And then I got invited to be on the post football team, for flag football. And I was covering a guy in a game, and I zigged when I should have zagged. And same thing, man. I just lost. I heard my back snap again, and I fell down. The dude scored a touchdown on me, and but I could never really recover fully from breaking my back. Wow. And so I ended up having to get out, and I was just devastated, man. So then I came back, and anyway, long story short, or shorter, I started my company. The story on my company is sort of a whole nother thing.
Yeah. And so when you came back, did you come to California?
I did. I came to California. So
California finally sold you again.
It finally got me. I finally got here, and I left Korea and I went to Washington State, and I was there for about a year as I was in a transition, just getting me set up for success once I leave, with VA and all that stuff.
Right. The mess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But
we won't go there.
I worked at the VA. So after I got here, I worked at the VA down in Loma Linda, and I was a patient advocate. And so I was caring for people and watching.
You might have seen my grandpa.
Oh,
he's there all the time.
If you ever complained, then yeah, probably.
He's always all my family that deals with the VA is always complaining.
I know. I complain too.
Yeah.
So
love hate. It's a love hate thing.
It is mostly hate, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was working at the VA. I was going to school. I got my bachelor's degree from Azusa in organizational leadership, and I started getting my master's from University of Redlands. But my business was going strong, and I didn't have time to finish. And also, the VA was paying for my education, and I ran out of money. So, those two things together is kind of why I stopped. I didn't finish my master's all the way.
Right. God had different plans for you.
He did. He definitely did. So, man, kind of back to what I call the care industry. When I was 8, 9, and 10, kind of going way back, my mom played the piano, and I was raised in church, man. I swear I probably was born in church. My dad was in the choir. My mom played the piano, and I just loved being a part, man. I remember when I got saved, where I was, I could take you back to the spot, in that church.
That's right.
Young kid, Vacation Bible School. But
Vacation Bible School too. Let's do a shout out for them.
That's right.
We have organizations all over, and that's a great place. I mean, great organization. The church puts on just amazing events through VBS, they call it. Yeah,
that's right.
So that's really cool.
That's how I got saved. But so a lot of memories go back to being in church, and that's why I felt like, when I thought, man, I want to be a pastor. It wasn't just like I want to be a pastor. I really felt that in my heart. Yeah. So what's neat about what I do today is I get to be both a pastor and a sheriff. And I'll talk about it. But anyway, my mom played the piano. And every month she would drag me and my sisters to this nursing home. We called them old folks homes back then. And we would go and, it was sort of drug us there. And my mom played the piano. We'd sing and dance around. Perform for the seniors that were there, and then we'd wheel them back when they were done eating lunch, we'd wheel them back to their room. So cool. And I got really close to a couple of the people there, to the families and to the residents who lived in this nursing home. And one lady in particular, and this is really important to my story, is because her name was Mabel, and her son was a judge. She would always point to this gavel that sat on her big TV back then, and she would point to her gavel and tell me about her son, and it was what she did every time. She would always tell me about her son. Well,
her passion.
It was, yeah, of course. Well, when Mabel passed away, and I don't remember if it was handed off to me from her or when she passed away, it was said, "Give this to him." But I got the gavel on top of her TV.
Wow.
And I know that when it happened, I put it, on one of my bookcases in my bedroom, and I just let it set up there, and there was other people, right? There was other ladies to talk to and get to know, and just they made an impact on me. Yeah. But two things I learned from that senior care. One is the power of connection and the power of touch. And there was one lady who would really reach out, and she would always grab at us, and her eyes were sort of grayed over, like glossed over cataracts. Yep. And she was scary. Yeah. And I'm 8, 9, and 10, man, so I'm going, hold on, no, don't touch me, right? But
you're not grandma.
when she reached out, we would then connect, and we'd hold her hand, and it would she'd light up like a Christmas tree, and she would smile, and she would sing, and that's how I learned this. People need touch, and they need human connection. Yeah. Almost like babies. Babies have to have it, and in a sense, so do seniors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, my grandpa got diagnosed. The second part of my story on why I started Great Life Senior Care is.
All right, can I
yes.
jump in?
Yes, sorry. I will just go and go.
No, it's all good. So I got a similar story. We used to go on Easter, holidays. We would go because my pretty much my whole family. My grandma was she was also a medic in the military. And then my aunt and my mother were CNAs. And so we would go to senior homes, and I used to call them the old folks' homes. So I'd say that's the same thing. Yeah, that's how we knew it. And we would always do different things based on the holidays. And man, they need that. You're so right. The human touch. And I always remember they always wanted to grab me, touch my cheeks, and it was all touch.
That's right.
Because they don't get it. Nobody touches them. They don't get the love, no hugs, no affection.
No.
And it's so important. And even in our own families, I feel like technology's kind of removed us from the human connection.
Yeah.
And I agree from physical touch. So I think that's an amazing thing. I really wanted to hone in on the physical touch and my experience too, because I had the same experience, and
yeah,
they need it. They need that love and compassion, and it's important.
And even today, in those places, they're not old folks' homes now, they're nursing homes or facilities, but sometimes they get, pushed in front of a window, and that's where they relax most of their day, is just kind of looking outside,
Yeah.
And it's really important to give the human connection and the touch. And I'll never forget how this sweet lady, and she was, mind you, she was probably a little bit demented herself, and she would sing about flying pigs, but she was just, it was wild. It was, but the sweetest little lady, man. And my sisters and I would get a kick out of her, and not laughing at her, just enjoying her joy,
yeah,
the life that she had. And, it all started from just holding her hand. Yeah. Yeah. But
it's huge. It's powerful and relevant. Yeah. So if anyone wants to go spread some love,
yeah,
you could connect them, and
absolutely,
that's a very important thing. So yeah, have a heart for the elder, reach out to Jason, get plugged in.
Absolutely,
they would love to spend time with you for sure. They just want to talk, share. And the best part, which I didn't know at a young age, I know now, they're the ones with all the wisdom. They're the ones who've lived the life. They know way more than we do, right?
Oh, they do.
Certain areas, and
they've got great stories.
The core of them.
They've got wisdom.
Yeah.
And it's once they're gone, that part of history is gone too. Yeah. It's really neat to kind of pull it out and let them tell you about what they went through, what they saw, and huge leaps in technology, huge leaps in this generation, the greatest generation.
Yeah.
That's them.
That's
who we're taking care of.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I tell my grandpa all the time, I'm like, Gramps, and my grandma, you guys realize you lived the best generation. You got to experience life before all the crazy people. You used to leave your doors unlocked, your car, your house. You would never have to worry about people stealing from you. You lived in a community where everyone had each other's backs. Mm-hmm. Not that they didn't have issues, and the world was the world, but not what it is today. And then they also got to see the change and the advancements of technology, and so they get to experience self-driving cars. They know what they're so they got life from the core and what life used to be, the OG almost, into like the new age, right? It is the best generation ever. All right, let's go back to your Gramps.
Okay, yeah. So Gramps, it's funny that you say that. My grandpa, and so he's the second piece of the puzzle for me in senior care. But he hated to be called Gramps.
Yeah.
Grandpa, I'm sorry. All right, I'm not calling you Gramps. It was Kyle. He called you Gramps. All right. So, but my grandpa, his name was Glenn, and man, he was just my hero, man, a special guy, and Olympic caliber gymnast, man. He was invited to the Olympics straight out of high school, but his family was poor, and he was a good looking guy. All his like high school photos is like that's the best looking dude in the photo.
Tall and handsome like you?
No way. I'm like 5 in comparison to my grandpa.
Oh,
like, yeah, dude. He was sharp. You know how those guys were like, their hair was always perfect, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was strong, and like I said, he set a couple of records in California for doing the most back handsprings from end to end on a football field, upright to upright.
Wow.
Nonstop. Just one of the things he did. Yeah, it was setting a record for California at the time.
That's phenomenal.
I know.
I can't even do one.
Glenn Grimes, everybody. But so he was a pastor. He was a highly successful business owner, had a machine shop in Ventura County, a little town called Newberry Park. That's big now. It's over there by Thousand Oaks. And his machine shop burnt down. He built it back up.
Wow.
And at the time he had a private airplane that I would get to fly with him in. And, it's weird because when I say I wanted to be a pastor, my grandpa was a pastor. When I went through that flux in my life of not being sure, I got laid off from the New Life Ministries, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do before the Army. I went to pilot school, and I did that stuff. It was like things that my grandpa did, I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just because I looked up to him so much.
Right.
But also I had great memories of flying in his airplane, so I thought that'd be fun.
Like, I got to be a pilot.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Gramps is around here flying me. I want to be flying my family one day.
Yeah. So my grandpa married all my, he married me, he married my sisters, he married my cousins, and
that is so cool.
But dementia in 2014, he got dementia, and I was still living in Washington State. I left Korea and then went to Washington State, and I was transitioning out. But he got diagnosed and got really sick. He had a couple of falls, and he went from being the most articulate. You ever heard somebody pray before, and it was like, man, I wish I could pray like that?
Yeah.
That's kind of how my grandpa was. It was just like poetic and genuine from his heart every time. And it was really cool to watch. And I don't have that skill myself. But my grandpa was a total people person, man. And if I say that I got one thing from my grandpa, it was that I really care about people. And when he got dementia, we got to see like all the different stages that you go through in dementia. He lost his ability to talk. But I wanted to be able to care for him. So I thought, okay, I'm working at the VA, but I want to start my own business. Not just because to care for my grandpa, but I needed something bigger. I needed something that could, be a legacy in my mind, right? Yeah. And so, just something that would set my family up, do something great. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to look and start my own business. So I dabbled in all these different, went to like a franchise finder helper person, to help me find different things. And we looked at this and that. And I'm not a handy guy. But funny story is one of the things I looked at was like, doing home type repair. But I'm not really that handy myself, and I can't do any of that in my own house. So why in the world would I think I'd do it for you in your house? It just didn't make sense.
And meanwhile, God had just prepared you all these years through being a medic, through the ministry work, for this, and you're trying to go off on a different direction.
Yes, right. So I'm kind of still trying to figure it out. I'm working at the VA. My wife's living in Korea, still finish up in her contract, as a teacher there. But all of a sudden I thought, you know what, maybe I should look into senior care. My wife comes home from Korea and we're going through this box, and out of this keepsake box comes the gavel. It comes the gavel that Mabel gave me from when I was 8, 9, and 10. And I told my wife, I said, Linda, I think I need to be in senior care. I think I need to start a senior care company, and then I want to take care of my grandpa. Well, then so I start the process. My grandpa passes away, but my very first client in 2019, when we finally got our license with the state, was my father-in-law, who also had dementia. Wow. And that kind of is what kicked us off, And so my starting point, every caregiver I hire is like, would you be good enough to care for my grandpa, to care for my father-in-law? And I got to see that, like, sparkle in their eye. And
so cool, man. That's amazing.
And that's kind of the story on how we started. And we've navigated through COVID, and we had to pivot and deal with all these different mandates from the state. But
nightmares just after nightmare.
Yes. Oh, totally, man. All these different requirements, protecting your caregivers, but also then protecting the client, and the challenges involved with all that. But we made it, and we didn't just only make it; we thrived, believe it or not. And it was challenging, but also on a business side, it was. I don't want to say it was good for us, but we managed to pivot well and make it.
Yeah. And that's what good businesses did, right? They made the pivot, and they made it work. So that's amazing, man. Like, God bless you, bro. Like, dementia's, my great grandma had dementia, so I saw it. She lived with us. She actually was from here, and because my mom was a CNA, like, care of her. So when I was growing up, I got to, like, she would just outlash at night.
Tell your mom to come work for me. No, it's good.
Yeah. she's gone. She's done. Maybe my sister, though, she's a CNA too, so she followed mom's steps.
That's
right. Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking thing to live through, and to see like your grandparent like forget who you are, and then go through all of the psychological and physical issues that they deal with at that time. It's really hard. So I love the passion behind this. You have a great story and a great purpose with it.
Because of my introduction to senior care, we specialize in dementia now, Alzheimer's, dementia, memory care, and it's important to me. I just, on both sides, you have families who don't know what to expect, this is all new to them, and you have clients who are up and down. First day is like, oh, thank you for being here. Second day is, get out of my home. I don't know you. And go, Dad, it's me. Grandpa, it's me.
Yeah.
And you just never know what you're going to expect. And so we really equip not just our caregivers to know how to handle it, but also, families can come to us and say, well, I don't know what to do. This is what we're dealing with. And it's challenging. Don't get me wrong.
For sure.
It's special when it's done right.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And like, I have to laugh at that. I have to bring humor out of it, right? Because like, I learned through it, like, I can't take grandma like serious, like, if I take it too serious, like, I'm gonna break down and start crying. Like, I'm not even gonna be able to function. So like, I would always make it fun with grandma. Like, she would say something, and I would like, like, just roll with it.
You gotta roll with it.
Yeah. You roll with it, because who knows what's gonna come out next?
Yeah. So that's it's funny you say that. You really kind of have to do redirection, and you kind of have to just also roll with it and give them time to process through, and then eventually they'll probably forget. And I don't say that insensitively. It's just the way it is. And my father-in-law, he was more of the, like, he was irritable, and he's got a hard story and upbringing. He was from Germany. Wow. And during the war. So his story is unique and a miracle in itself on how he came to America. Yeah. But
I would love to have him on the podcast.
Oh, he's not here anymore. He's not with us. But he always wanted to go back to Germany. Like, when he got dementia, he always believed he was going to end up going back, and he would say, "I'm going, I'm leaving." And he was a wanderer. He was a wanderist. Yeah, he would escape. And I remember he came, and before they moved here, he was from Tucson, and they came and stayed with us, and he snuck out the back gate. And that was it, man. He was walking to Germany, and he just knew it was right over there. And so, oh my gosh, Hal got out. And so I ran outside, and look, I stole his baby, right? So there's already that dynamic. Okay. So, not until I joined the Army was I forgiven for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I joined the Army, and then all was good.
He loved you. You're part of the brotherhood now.
But once he got dementia, then it was like it reverted so truly in his heart. Maybe it never really settled well in the first place. Because he always pointed to me and be like, you. He would point to me and do that, and he'd be like, you. And I'd be like, Hal, it's me, man. I'm the Army guy. But I'm telling you, he believed he was going to Germany, and you had to kind of redirect. Okay, well, hold on. We got to pack your clothes. you're not packed and ready to go. And we figured out, like, he was a mechanic in his life. So we figured out, hey, we're going to have him fold his clothes and do things with, like, hard motor skills are tricky, but sometimes they enjoy the deliberate action, to work with their, to do something to them is important.
Yeah, just staying busy.
Yeah. And so we had him fold clothes often, and it was a way to kind of work around his anxieties. And then also, because he was a mechanic, he'd take a bolt and a nut, and we had like 2 jars, bolts and nuts. And we just tell him, hey, take the nut off the screw and put it in this jar, and put the screw in that jar. And he would just, okay. And then and it kept him busy. It kept him real happy, and you kind of have to find these little tricks to kind of redirect the anxiety and the stress that they have, because they forget who you are and why are you here.
Yeah. I like that you say that, because like keeping your hands busy and your body moving, right, is like, that's important. That's a very important piece. And most of the time people are going into these homes and they like you said, they get pushed to a window and they sit there, right? Yeah. And that's probably like the last thing that should be done. Like, that's not the way. It's a hard way to thrive, right? It's not it's not somebody thriving, that's not somebody who's living their best life, and no, some people are, that's the better fit, there are some people who that's what they need. Yeah. Absolutely. But it's not everybody. And, we believe, right, that people are always going to be better at home. They always can help them live as independent as possible. And hopefully they have a family to take care of them. Like, or else we'll be their family. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. That's awesome, man. That's amazing. So, you got that book. Let's talk. Oh yeah, sure. Let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. Yeah. Where is veteran story? There we go. Yeah. Veteran story. So tell me about that. How did that come about? And well, the way that came about is there's a nonprofit out here called Milvet. And it is Milvet. Shout out to them. Amazing organization. Raven and her entire team are special. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Every month they do packaging, and they package up these priority mailboxes, and they send them off to, it's sort of a membership-based thing, right, where people join Milvet, and then we'll send packages to them overseas, wherever they are, and they get it every month, another package every single month. But Milvet puts this together, and it takes a ton of volunteers. Well, anyway, the kind of the founder of that nonprofit decided, you know what, I'm going to put a book together of all veteran stories, and I'm going to invite 30 of my favorite veterans, and I'm sure she knows a lot more than that, and I managed to be one of the people she invited to co-author, I guess, multiple authors, 30 authors here of this book, A Veteran Story. And so I get to tell a little bit about my experiences in the Army, and what I loved about it, what I didn't love about it. What were the challenges? What were the challenges I faced? And I talked about, breaking my back, and, what we loved too. It was a great life for my family. And the people we met, and getting to go to Korea and Fort Knox, and, the Riverwalk in San Antonio, and kind of getting to travel a little bit, and all those cool things too. Great experiences, huh? It was traveling, and which is great. And yeah, when you're in the military, like, you really kind of like, I was older, man. I'm 46 now, and I went in 2008. And so, I was one of the older guys. And so they were calling you Gramps. Silly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I felt like Gramps too, running around with those guys. But, you kind of get tired of the silly stuff that you have to do, is like this mantra of like, hurry up and wait all the time in the military. Everybody knows that's what it is. But now, kind of from the outside looking in, I forgot about all the things I didn't like about the Army, and I just remember the good, the people, the relationships, and the fun. And yeah, that's all you remember. Yeah, I love that, man. That's so good. And that's all you should focus on, and that's all you should remember. And it's huge, right? Because you focus on the negativity, just like anything else in life. You focus on the bad, and you're gonna build and develop more of that, more of those negative thoughts, right? The more you feed it, the more it's gonna grow. Exactly. So you're absolutely right. I love, I mean, every time I talk to you too about the military, only good, man. You only say the good stuff. So
That's right.
that's amazing.
Especially on camera.
It's a yeah. No, don't let him fool you guys. He's even off camera, same guy. He's the same guy. So
Thanks, man.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how many different authors were there?
30 different authors. There's also a lady in here who, Gold Star wife, Gold Star wife, and awesome, incredible stories, man. Mine is small potatoes in comparison to some of the serious stuff that a lot of people got to experience and went through, But, so we all have something to tell. We all have something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just everyone's testimony.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna grab a copy for sure.
Man.
Me too. My grandpa, actually, I told you a lot of my family is vets. My grandpa's a former Marine. He was the call man. So
yeah,
he was the target, is what he was. Yeah, he has some really good stories. So I love
check it out.
The stories, honestly.
Yeah.
And everyone really like always wants to hear like military stories, right? Like,
right.
I want to like, what was it like, and that. So that's probably the book to read if you want to know what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it really does connect you with real stuff, real life stuff, and there's I'm sure there's some foul language in here. I mean, I know there is, and just whatever, right? This is who they are,
for sure.
Yeah, not me though. I didn't put any foul language in my part. Your kids can read it. It's safer on mine.
Yeah. Awesome. That's rad. Well, man, I love your story, your testimony, like the trials, tribulations that you faced, how God moved you, like looking back at it from a 30,000 foot view, like,
yeah, that's right.
He had you in different ministries. You had a passion. You always had a heart. You thought you were going to be a pastor in the church, right?
Yeah.
In the four walls, which
right.
97% of us aren't called to do ministry inside those four walls, right? We're called outside of it, right? And so our ministry work is what we're doing here every single day. And so it's cool how God had shifted you and moved you, and then the gavel, man, like getting that, like,
yeah,
wow.
It was just a confirmation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I needed. That's really what I needed. Yeah.
You were searching for it. You didn't know you were searching for it.
Right.
Open that box, you're like,
yeah, it's true.
That's amazing.
It was great, man. I've learned a lot too, man. I've learned a lot of things, having my own business. I don't know if we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
So I want to know before we end this, what are the best tips for business?
Yeah.
What have you learned over your time of building and developing your business?
Mm-hmm.
And what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to go into business?
Okay. All right. So let me start with like lessons that I've learned. Being a business owner, I think one of the most valuable lessons I learned is to have boundaries. It's really important. And, we all need structure.
Man.
We all need structure. We all need boundaries. And what I found myself doing early on in my business was sort of over-promising. My heart, I just want to help. Man, I've always been a helper guy. Somebody broke down on the side of the road, I'm pulling over every time, to help them. And so when I started my company, I sort of ran it the same way, just help everybody. And I didn't have boundaries in place to know you can't take them. You shouldn't take that one.
Yes.
And so what it did was I found out that I was over-promising, because I didn't have the right boundaries set up. I was over-promising, and I was making my company look bad, and I wasn't offering the best help to the people that were needing it. We'd grab a client way out here, but I didn't have a caregiver willing to go out there, So that's one of the things, like, have your boundaries, and it's okay to say no, but it was a weird time because I was starting a new business, man. Take on everybody, get new clients, and that's the challenge.
Get it.
Let's go. Yeah. And, to pull back and say, oh man, I probably shouldn't have taken that one, or I should have referred it. And that's another thing that I learned too in business is it's actually good to refer. It's good to refer people, even competitors.
Yes. Agree. 100%.
Man, I have strong relationships with my competitors. And what why I do that?
I love that. Because most people don't. Most people have the scarce mindset, like, there's not enough to go around. I need it.
That's right.
Right? And it's, no, you need to have an abundance mindset. There's plenty for all of it. We can't handle all the business. Like,
Yeah,
come on. And
that's right.
That's the mindset you got to have. So I love that.
It's crazy that you say that. That was I was going to mention that today too. You know, it's all abundance, right? Operate in that abundant mindset where there's plenty of work to go around. And like I said, pass it along, pass off a referral, and because it's going to strengthen. So now that I have strong relationship with my competitors, I can take on a new client, and I can confidently say, if I can't staff it tomorrow, I can get somebody from that competition to help me staff the work until I have enough care. And I'm happy to say it. I don't mind. We bounce work back and forth now with multiple agencies when we're shorthanded. And it's a powerful thing. Yeah,
it is.
We're friends, and we want success for all of them. Eventually, we'll take over.
I want the,
but we'll take over the area. But until that happens, we keep the tight relationships and build them.
Yes,
and
agreed.
Another, kind of like to move on from a lessons to what I would say, advice is build a relationship. Be positive. Be a people person. I don't mean be fake. I mean be who you are. But people are what matter, right? Relationships are what we get to keep forever.
Amen.
And always work to be. I have a friend, and you know who he is. Everybody wants to be around him. He's joyful all the time. He is
exactly who you're talking.
He's a magnet, man. He's a people magnet because of his kindness and because of the life inside of him.
Yes.
And I want to be like that. And if I could give advice, is find somebody in your life who's like that, if that's how you want to be. But I think it's important to attract people to you and be a positive light in your community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I can't agree anymore. Like, I know exactly who you're talking about. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's freaking everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And not that you want to be the one who everyone loves, but you want to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
You want, like, the Bible talks about it too. Like, you want to be evenly yoked. Like, find people who you're evenly yoked with. Find people who you enjoy spending time with, who build you up, right?
Yeah.
Who are going to be able to help you and support you and are real, right? Who are raw, who aren't just there because they want something or there's anything in return. It's relationships.
That's right.
It's all relationships. So
yeah,
that's so important. And people just like get in the business mind, like transactional minded, right? And
right.
That's the worst. I tell my clients all the time, they're like, do you want to do Zoom? Or I'm like, I know, I want you to come in my office. I want to meet you face to face.
Yeah.
Because I want to build a relationship. Like,
yeah.
That's it. Like, especially in marketing, I have to build a relationship. I'm an extension to your business. So
of course
it's really important here, but
yeah,
I relate 100% to that.
The one other thing that I think is important is, it's really it's easy to get wrapped up in busy of your business.
Yes.
And I mean, gosh, some of my favorite parts of having my own company is I get to do all this networking, all this fun stuff. But I can put so much. It is work, but also it's not work. And sometimes I think you got to drill down into the things you don't enjoy a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to drill into the work of the business. And that is just as important, actually probably even more important, right? And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is like, make sure you have good time management.
Yeah.
In having your own business, because you need to put into the work of the business. And I gotta say, man, there's this whole idea about when you have your own business, like don't let your business run you. You run your business, and you be the boss. And do you have a job or do you have a business? Yeah. But I gotta say, I have a job that I love. And so even though it's a job, even though it doesn't fit that whole, like, do you have a job or business thing, man, I love it. And I'm blessed to have a job, for one. But this job is my business, and I love that part of it, So, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you're saying work on the business and in the business.
Yeah.
And let your passion drive you, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of business owners, they get so caught up in the day-to-day and in the grind, and they don't work on the business. They're working inside of the business, like you said. They're working the job, right?
Yep.
But they're not working on building, growing, and developing the business, working on the systems and the processes and the integrations and
there you go.
all of that, which is key. That's critical, right? Because it's so easy, especially when you first get started. Like, you're in the business, you're the technician, right?
Right.
There's a good book. It's called E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Amazing book. And it talks about treating your business like a franchise, right? Create systems and processes. So ultimately, if you're going to build and start your own business, you need to treat it like a franchise. So I could hand off my business model to you, and you can run and operate it.
Yes.
And if you can't do that, then you don't really have a business at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because businesses are meant to be systems.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a bunch of gears working together, right? And the problem is people get so distracted and caught off, or they just don't have the knowledge or the insight of how business is supposed to be run.
That was me.
And that was all of us, right? At some point. So it's really important that you understand what it means to work in your business and what it means to work on your business.
Definitely.
So yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice. That's awesome. Is there anything else before we get going that you want to share? Gosh, I know there's probably a ton.
I could just ramble. I appreciate your time here today. Golly, I think I don't really have anything else necessarily. If you don't have another question for me, I don't have anything else that I'm going to offer. The joy of my life, man, the one of the best things I've done up to this point, aside from, having your kids and having your great wife and all those things, right? Being involved in church and that. And one of the greatest things I've done is have this company where I get to help people and, help families that just don't know what to do. And they've thrown their arms up, I don't know, can you help me? And I just love it. It's the greatest. It really is. It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. So how can people find you? How can they reach you? Let's actually start. Let's start with all the different services that you offer.
Okay.
And then how can people find you?
Oh, sure. So with regards to services, there's really two sides. You have companionship and you have personal care. And we do all of it. We don't separate out, if your dad only needs companionship, well, then we won't do personal care, because a lot of times those blend together. Yeah. So we kind of throw it all in one bucket. You get the full service with what we do. We'll do it all. Awesome. We'll clean your house. We'll help with hygiene-related issues, and somebody who's bedbound, all the way to hospice care. Medication reminders, and there are some things we can't do, and we can drill down on those if somebody's interested.
You'll connect them to the right people that will be able to do it. So
that's right.
Yeah. They need to come talk to you either way.
Absolutely. Yeah. But golly, sweep, mop, dust, take somebody to their doctor's appointment, help with pet care. Gosh, we had a client who had a green thumb and they loved to go out and garden, and we had caregivers that were going to the store and they'd get some flowers and they'd help them plant. And, so
you're just extended family. You're just anyone who's looking for extended family, reach out.
That's right.
Reach out to you.
And I'm glad you said that, because my kind of my slogan is "Our family caring for yours," and we
love it. That's awesome.
We're a connecting mindset business, man. We love your families. We love the seniors that we care for, and the only thing I'll add is that caregivers are special.
Amen.
They are the most amazing, and they're angels.
Yes.
And
yes,
I just love them, man. If I get too much talking about them, it'll bring a tear to my eye. And they're just awesome.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It's a special calling, and I'm very appreciative for all of those caregivers out there. Thank you guys, because we need you. And hopefully I'll never need you, but there are a lot of people out there that do need you guys. So we love you and thank you.
Before COVID, we were doing in-person training. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we train on initially is the state requires some things, and we would always talk about dementia and what are the mild, medium, severe symptoms. And when I'm going through this kind of checklist of the mild, you said, hopefully I'll never need you. And this is kind of where I'm going back with the story here. I'm talking about these mild symptoms. And in my back of my mind, I'm going, me, 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 oh gosh, so I'm going to need my own services one day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's the circle of life, baby.
I know.
That's how God made it, Exactly. Like, we were born wearing diapers, we died wearing diapers.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hopefully not us, though.
I know. We'll see.
It's all up to the good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, cool. How do we find you?
Okay, so the way you can find me, of course, I'm on Google, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.
Great Life Senior Care?
Yeah, greatlifeseniorcare.com.
Perfect.
That's how you find me. You can also call me. Got an office. Do I just get, the number? Okay, yeah, great. Office number is 951-679-9592. And then, of course, my email, jasonwhite@greatlifeseniorcare.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure to follow Jason on his social media channels. This guy, as you see here, has an amazing heart. And wow, what a great story, man. It's awesome just to see how the Lord guided you, directed you. I love your mindset. I love the strength in your mindset. I love the optimism that you have. Great advice, good tips on the business side of things. Don't work in your business, work on your business. Build those relationships. Focus on that. That's the key. That's the most important thing. Relationships. We can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
So I love it.
To add to that, I guess, too, is have an exit strategy with your business.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just spin your wheels and not know what the goal is.
Amen.
Yeah.
Dude, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a great ad. If you don't have an exit strategy, which most business owners don't. They're not even thinking about that. But the whole goal and intention is to one day sell your business, right? Yeah. That's why we get into business. So build an exit strategy. That's great. We'll end on that note.
Okay.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in Inside the Empire podcast with my guest, Jason White, and we'll see you on the next one.